Hello, this is Easy, and I got this little script that you can download. It's kind of a little utility tool. You'll be loading through the Z script and load. It's not actually in a plugin, and you'll be loading the Easy Dental Zbrush 2019 ZSC. All right, once you load that, you'll have these buttons down here at the bottom. All right, they're grouped. It starts with 0, then 1, 2, 3, and 4. You can see the numbers in front. That's how you do them in order. And here's another set of groups over here, 1 and 2. Okay, we'll get that here in a second. Uh, you'll also, in the zip file, you'll have these two brushes. It's called the brush add here and this one here. I know it says Q Remesher on here. That's just an old brush I have, but you'll get both of them. And these are actually in, I have them loaded in the startup. That's how I got them here in the custom menu here. Um, Now this is going to be for advanced ZBrush users. Okay, this is designed for dental only, so you'll need a little bit of background on that. And basically, what this is going to do is how to clean up some of this. This is called an impression here. We're going to clean this up, and I'm going to be cutting away the teeth here. I've seen some other videos from other softwares, and it's not a very good. This is actually the way this is done is like extremely accurate. So let's go ahead and get started. Now this was a scan that was brought in, and if you notice the way it was brought in, it was straight up and down. So basically, we're going to go to the move here, and we're going to hold the shift key, and we're going to hold it and snap it down like this. All right. As you notice that the gizmo here is pointed down, we'll just make that a polymesh 3D, and if we do it again, then the gizmo is correct. Alright, I'm going to be selecting this Dynamesh, alright, and before I do that, it's going to ask me to copy this, but before I copy this tool here, because once I copy this, the script will also paste it. I want to make sure that when I copy this, the paste will actually be activated. I need to go ahead and reduce the polygon counts because I want to try to keep in very much detail as possible. I want to keep the teeth. I'm going to get rid of the rest. All right. I'm not even going to explain none, so you'll have to be a little bit of knowledge here. So I'm going to select here, and I'm going to select the slice curve here. This is going to give me a nice straight cut. And like I said, I'm going to keep the teeth. So I'm going to select here. It polygrouped it, and I'm going to select here. This is going to reduce the polygon counts. So I'm going to make polymesh 3D. And once I do that, before I move this slider, I'm going to press copy. Alright. It'll give you error if you don't. So once I do this, I'll be moving the slider. So if I move it a little bit right here to 256, I'll first get this little pop up here. Always yes. And give it a second. Then always keep an eye up in the left hand corner what's going on. I'll do this quite a bit. Alright, for instance, let's just say this is good enough. Alright, it kept quite a bit of detail. You want to keep much detail as possible. I really need to go higher, but for this instance, so it doesn't bog me down, we're not going to do that. I'm going to turn the floor off, and since these teeth are not symmetrical, we will not be working in symmetry at all, else it will screw up. Alright, once we have this done, okay, we started at 0, and I'm happy with that. Then we're going to select this one here. If you read it, it says subtool duplicate and adjust new settings for geometry Zremesher. So I'll go here. That says paint your guides and select the Zremesher button. Okay. Basically, we're going to be using these guides here. That's what this one does here. We'll select here. Let me go out of polyframe mode here. And what I like doing is I like to set my draw size down to about 8, or somewhere around 8. Then I'm going to drag and draw a line. I always like to start somewhere in the back of the teeth here. And there's 3 spots I like to do. One here at the back, then I'll turn it once in the middle, and once when I see this hole down here. It's going to be basically them turns. because if you try doing it in one turn, it'll screw up. Trust me. So, not that it will screw up. It'll just look like it's right until you turn it, and you're going to go, oh, it don't look right over here. So if you kind of keep that in mind, that's how it works. So I'm going to drag up here, and then I'm going to drag. I'm going to be a little off here, then I'm going to let go. Alright, then I'm going to turn it down here. I notice there's a hole here, so I'm going to stay below the hole. We need to connect to this previous line. See the blue cursor right there? I'm going to right click the blue cursor because it's a little too big for me right now. And just turn that down. Alright, that's not my draw size. So what I want to do is select here, then I'm going to drag down, then I'm coming down here. Then I'll just keep on repeating it. As I hover over my line here, my guide, you can see it is one consistent line. Alright, this is a main factor. It has to be connected all the way around if you move it. If for some reason you have another break in the line and you don't connect, this is what's going to happen. Alright, I'm going to move over here, but this one's not highlighted all at the same time. So you have to connect. So make sure you connect to that one. And the way to double check that is hover over the line, and if it's all one red. Another thing is, this add will also add and subtract. The edit brush, so we'll press here. You can see it at update over here. You can move this. You can see there's like a little line here. It gets little kinks where you stop and go at the guide. If you just move it a little bit, it straightens it right back out. And you can adjust your cursor when it's blue. And then you can kind of move these guides where you want them to go. Alright. Need to move them up a little bit further. This is kind of moving them. Now, like I said, you'll get these little kinks as you go around. Don't worry about it till you get all the way to the end. Then you can go into the stroke at the end, and you can press smooth. I just press this maybe once, okay? Don't do this as you go, because what will happen, this thing will start jumping around. So just use that at the end and keep that in mind. So you'll go all the way around, then you'll come right back to this end. Make sure this end connects, okay? I paused the video and loaded this model up, okay? Just to show you that I completely got done. Took, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes. Wasn't too bad. Didn't get real accurate on it, but if I hover my cursor over here, you can see all the lines are red. If by any chance there was a break in the line, part of it would be red and part of it will be yellow. Alright, it'll be two different colors. Make sure it connects at the end too. Very important, or this will probably not work at all. Alright, like I said, I got fairly accurate. Another thing is this impression, how I cut it off flat. I have a dental vacuum forming machine, and what you do is you set this inside the machine. Alright, we'll pretend this is the machine and we'll set it down on this plate, and down here at the bottom this plate's got holes in it and it keeps on sucking. And then on the top we got this platform where this piece of plastic goes into, and it gets heated up by the heating element. It's a hard piece of plastic and it goes straight across. When it gets heated up, it'll start sagging like a little bubble at the bottom, and it's got this handle that lets you know when it starts sagging to pull this handle down. When you pull it down, the plastic goes over the teeth, and it's also sucking it to the teeth at the bottom, so it's drawing the plastic down. When it completely dries, then you will remove this impression. Then you can hand cut this out. You can use this for like a mouth guard or whatever you want. Keep in mind, if you do like any 3D printing and you're using plastic, make sure you're using a plastic that is not going to harm your mouth. So these dental sheets, they're pretty safe, so don't go be sticking something in your mouth you're not supposed to. Alright, with that said, we're not going to step 2. We already got these lines out here, and it's very important not to go to step 2 right away. What it's asking me to do now, because if you remember the pop-up, that I need to go to the Zremesher. Very important thing to do. It's put these settings in here. Do not mess with this 100 curve strength. It has to be that. And we're going to have a couple options. Alright, we have the Zremesher. You can click it. If that don't work, what you do is you hold your Alt key down and you click it, and when it starts working or activating, you'll see this little line up here. It'll start going across like something's happening. Then you let go of all the keys. If that don't work, turn this on, click the Zremesher, and if it don't work, Alt click it. I always do things in order to make sure I don't do the same thing twice. So I always make sure I just click first, and if that don't work, then I Alt click. Your best bet will probably be having this on, okay? So let's go ahead and just try something really quick here. So we'll press, I'm just going to click it first, then if this don't work, I'll try the Alt click. And you're going to know when it's working because it's going to get polygrouped. Give it a second here. And like I said, always keep an eye up on this corner. Because a lot of times if this legacy's off and you click the Zremesher, it'll say error, and you won't know what's going on because it act like nothing happened, but you got an error and it just canceled out. So just keep an eye up in that left hand corner while this is working out. As you can see, nothing happened. Alright, so what we'll do is we'll go back here, and we're also going to try the Alt click. So we'll Alt click this. I paused the video, and you can see there, you'll know when it's working because it'll polygroup it. A lot of times these polygroups will look very similar to the same color, so sometimes to check that, you'll need to Control Shift click to make sure if this is or isn't polygroup. Alt click the, hold the Alt key down, then I'm going to press the Zremesher button now. So I click here, both keys held down. I'm just going to let go of everything right now. So then I'm going to keep an eye on the corner, and I'm going to pause the video. As you can see, nothing happened there either. Like I said, this one usually will work. We'll go back here again till we can see the lines. And a lot of times, like I said, this will work, and it's usually because you need to kind of move this in a different angle. I don't know why this happens. Sometimes just by moving this, and we'll try the Alt click here and wait a couple seconds. Alright, we got a winner on there. You'll know when it's done and working is when it's polygrouped. So and I Control Shift click, now I have just the teeth. This is what I wanted. It's going to look a little funny until you have to go down to the display property down here and turn on double. We see both sides. Then there's your veneers. Okay. Alright, the next step is we're going to press the project, but I want to bring everything back right here. This is step number 2. Alright, it says divide and projects. Basically what this is going to do is, as you can see, if I select here, then I select up here, the polygon counts, this one's over 500,000. That is my high detail, and it's going to, this is my low one that's going to project to that one. It's going to divide it and then project. Okay, keep that in mind. Another thing is when you click through here, you notice sometimes double clicking will turn these little icons off. So if this one's probably off, it probably will not project to it. So keep an eye on about clicking back and forth. A lot of things like I like to do here is example, if I turn on, go to the transform and turn on solo, what this means is what you clicking on is the only thing that you're seeing. So if I'm keeping an eye on the detail, so if I'm looking at the low one and I click here, you can see a little bit of the changes. Okay, this lets me know what's going on. So when I press this button here, we're going to give a couple seconds. Alright, now that it projected, we have 500,000 or so here, and pretty much the same. And if we look at this, you can see there's almost no changes. This is what I want. we're going to go over step 3 here. If you hover your mouse over the button, it says show the polygroup teeth only. Since it's polygroup, if we take a look here, then we can select just the teeth only, real easy. Alright. When you're doing this, every now and then you'll get a little strike of a polygon or two somewhere off in space. You need to have that removed before you press this button here for the thickness. Basically, this is kind of, I don't see none here, so I think I'm good to go. We can press this here, or we can make it a Polymesh 3D first if you feel like it, and then we'll press here. Now we have a inner and outer shell. Now this is when we go to step 4. It's called Smart Sculpt. Now this one's telling me to show on the inside of the teeth. Alright. So basically we have an inner shell and an outer shell. And this is like polygroup, so Control key, Shift key, and we're going to select somewhere in the inside. Alright. It's going to look a little funny. That's going to let you know how this is. You can tell that you're on the inside. I can invert this and you can kind of see this is the outside. As the button said, we should want to show only the inside. So we'll put that back like it does. Then we're going to go ahead and press this here. Alright. And if we turn on transformation solo, you can see that I am selecting the outer. It's selected right now, and this one's the inner. We want to be on this one on the outer because this one is the one that we're going to be editing. And also we want to make sure on the transfer, we want to turn the solo off because we want to see both at the same time. Alright, this is what we call veneer. This is I don't know if you ever seen them, but they're like mouth guards, or they're actually this one's going to be designed for, I call it a snap-on smile. You could order some cheap ones online, but they're not even designed to fit your teeth. Alright, these are designed to fit your teeth. And actually, if you go to dentists and get these specially made, they can be a couple grand. You can make them yourself real cheap. Then once you get these made, then you can go ahead and send these files. I have a link in the README text in the zip file you can read, where you can upload these files and have them printed out or whatever you want done. So these snap-on smiles, what they do is they snap onto your original teeth. Alright, for them to fit on your teeth, you cannot edit the inside. Okay, this is where your teeth are going to go. So if I was to draw on this front tooth and I push to the back side here, well, it's not going to fit on your teeth very well if I do it all over the place. So we don't want to be messing with the inside. The inside needs to be left alone. Alright, like I said, I'd probably pause the video a couple times, so let's go ahead and switch to this brush here. Alright, this is the damn standard here. I got it on ZAD right now. So if I drag down like this, it's pulling outward. You see, it didn't mess with nothing on the inside. What this does, if I turn it to Z-sub, anytime that, I'll just show you, if I drag on here, I get this gray coming through. Alright, this is what we call the gray zone. This means, hey, you cannot do this, because what's happening is you made a bump on the inside. Just letting you know that, hey, you can't do that. We can select the morph brush and we can remove that right there. Alright, we're going to put the intensity up and we can move that. Now this morph brush here will work only if the polygon points do not change. You can use all kinds of brushes in here. Alright, but if you use some that change the polygon count, the morph brush will not work. So, you know, you can kind of like, let's say, let's go back to this one here, and you can switch to your, we'll switch alphas to something like this, and I like to turn my intensity way down quite a bit, draw all sides up, and if you drag once and drag down, you can see, oh, can't do that. I'll just Control Z that instead of the morph. And we'll put this one here. Then we'll drag down. Then, as long as I don't move anything, I press the one on the keyboard, and it'll keep on repeating the stroke. Now, every now and then you'll see this gray coming through. As long as it ain't too bad, I think it should be alright. As soon as you see this, I wouldn't run and morph this. Do whatever you want. Then when you get done, clean it up with the morph brush and do something like this. As you can see, I went a little too much. You can turn the intensity down. Just kind of wiggle it back and forth. Too much bump here from this damn brush, so we can kind of knock this back down a little bit. Then you get something like that. Also, let's say, hey, I got these two teeth right here. They're both pointed. I don't like them pointed. All right, you can actually use. We'll use the move brush on this. We'll use the draw size up a little bit, and we'll start pulling downwards here and here. Look it around, make sure there ain't no gray, and then you can do something like that. And like I said, oops, damn key. Anyway, there's a little bit right here. I'm not worried about it. If you want to go ahead and morph that right now, you can. It's not a big deal. And you can come back here and just get rid of that. Of course, I have to kick the intensity up, just get rid of that all the way. Like I said, I'm not going to get into full detail because I'm going to assume you know a lot about ZBrush, or quite a bit. We all know what the morph brush does, and I'll just show you just in case you don't know. Intensity, how much the morph you want to use on this. What it basically does is when you use the morph brush on there, puts everything back to the original state where it started. So if I have it 100%, I can just wash this bump right out. And as you can see where I pulled over here, I can just put this back right where I wanted it, just like it was. And for some reason that you change the polygon count and you lose the morph, you're gonna have to come over here and you're gonna have to go down to the morph target, and you're gonna have to create a new one, alright, because you changed the polygon counts. So keep that in mind. Alright, I'm going to show you how accurate this thing is. Alright, I paused the video again, and I used the Zremesher, and I want to show you how accurate, like I said, how accurate this is. Okay, what I got here is I got a white line down here at the bottom, the same thing I got here at the top. Now if you look where my cursor at's right here, I'm going to use this Zremesher guide compared to this white line as a reference. As you can see where they both touch each other here. So I'm going to be using the history to jump back and forth. And what I wanted to look at is to see if it gets polygrouped right where they both meet. Another thing I'm going to be looking at is the bottom of this tooth. I want to make sure nothing is shrinking or jumping up and down. It's supposed to be exactly what you see is what you get. Alright, so if I move my history here, you can see right where it's grouped at, where that line's at, it's cutting exactly right on the money. I move back here, you can see the line is the guideline is actually touching the white line here. Like I said, we're using this as a reference. So we'll do it again, and we're also keeping an eye on the bottom here to make sure we're not getting any shrinkage. I'll see if I can edit the video and maybe put a marker down here and one up at the top, then switch back and forth, and you can kind of really see. This kind of works like this slice curve. It actually does. The slice curve, it's limited. You can't edit the line. You can't do a lot of things. All right, this works just like it. It cuts right through there. Well, it polygroups right where it's supposed to be. And also, you're also able to edit the line, and also it uses a lazy mouse. So if you have a really shaky hand like I do, that would be impossible for me to do this without the lazy mouse. So it makes everything right where I want it. Alright, the reason why you don't want no shrinkage and jumping around is because you want to cut this thing exactly where it's supposed to be, and we want it to fit the teeth like it's supposed to be. So basically, if I was to say if I was switching this back around and I noticed this tooth down here was getting larger or smaller, we have a problem somewhere. So we don't, or this line jumping up and down and not meeting these two lines, we're also going to have a problem. But as far as I can see, this thing is working perfectly. Um, just need to just step back just a little bit. As you can see when I'm moving my history here, when I'm talking about jumping up and down is because this is before I Z-remeshed it. This is after I Z-remeshed it. So basically, sometimes if you're Z-remeshing something, sometimes things will start to shrink or change a little bit in shape. Okay, that's one thing I want to keep an eye on is looking to see if I see any difference. Another thing I can do is turn off the poly frame and also look at it this way. Alright, there's a little bit there. I'm losing a little bit of detail here, so that's not a big difference. Alright. The reason why is I can go ahead and project that back on here. I don't think I ever did. That's what this project button will do here. So basically, let's just go ahead and do this real quick. As you recall in the video I was doing through here, since I didn't have the poly frames on, I wasn't able to see it, but yeah, I can see that I'm losing a little detail here because I was going through the first history and the second history. Basically, I needed to go to step 3 here and step 4, which went ahead and projected that on there. So 1 and 4 should look the same. Alright, we're not paying attention to that, so let's go to history 1 and history 4. Tell me if you see any difference. There is no difference in it. Alright, so as I said earlier, I was going through, I couldn't actually see it because I had the poly frames on through here. It was kind of hard to see, so basically what I was doing is like and going here. A little hard to see, but now since I got this straight and I can show you a little bit better, basically 1 and 4 should not change. 1 and the 4th history. You don't see any detail loss and you don't see any shrinking. Let's do it again, here and here. Now let's turn on poly frames and do that one more time. So select the first one and the last one, and one more time, and one more time. Alright, this one's for the poly group it for button 1 and 2. You do these in order also. This is actually this is not that accurate, so I wouldn't recommend this if you're trying to get something, but if you want to just like jack around and do something kind of quick, this is very intense because it will divide the model. If your model's too high, probably won't work. You'll probably need to use the geometry decimate or use one of the Z plugins decimate, okay, decimate and master. That way you can actually lower the polygon count and also keep the shape. You also notice that I removed the top here. The more you remove, the better off you are. Okay, so I use the Z plugin here, and I also use this one called Polygroup It. It's kind of like the Polygroup It helper. And basically, give it a second, I'll show you here. As you can see, this is what I use, and this thing doesn't get very accurate. I mean, it gets close, and you can see the white or the gray spots not where it's supposed to be, and it looks kind of screwed up. This is telling you where you can polygroup it. This is what it looks like. You know, it kind of doesn't fall all the way around. It's kind of boxy and stuff. I'll show you part of the mesh. Looks kind of chopped up. All right. This once you use that plugin, you'll just have to go back here and go to previous. That's what these buttons are for. Okay. Basically what this does here, it's going to give it 5 subdivision levels. Then we got this one here. This is going to smooth the group. So basically when, first of all, you'll press this button here, then you'll use the Z plugin, and then you use Polygroup It. Then when you're done there, then you'll press this one here. Okay, I'm not going to do it because it gets very intense. So let's see, take a look here. as you can see here, some of the lines look a little jagged. Sorry, I had to pause there. And then you can go ahead and smooth some of this out a little bit if you want to. Whatever it takes. Then when it's done, okay, like I said, it's very intense. I don't even want to use it. All right, then I'll use the one that's done here. Just to kind of show you it's load up. So basically, this is the this first one here. This is the one when I use the poly group it on, and when it's finished, you can see how it smooths these groups out. All right, so I select here. It's kind of like a poly group it helper, you know, kind of smooths the groups out. Let's see if we get all load. Take a look at this. So basically, this is with the poly group it. Then with the second button, I get something like this. Nice smooth. Turn the frames off, and you can kind of see here versus this one here, all chopped up. So this is something if you want to kind of like maybe just do something quick. It's not that accurate, but hey, if you want to mess around with something and just do something kind of quick, it does kind of the whole thing. Just more of a type of a poly group it helper to help smooth the groups out. Okay, I'm just showing you this site here, not sponsored by them, but in the README text, the zip file that you're going to be downloading, it'll have this link in here. If you have any questions, it'll have a link to go to a forum that you can ask questions. I usually don't reply off the YouTube, but anyway, I'll just kind of show you this site where you can, like, you know, upload your files and have them either mailed out, or you can have other websites that will, you know, print them out, whatever it takes. Okay. One I'm kind of interested is you can start off cheap to see how everything's going to fit. And this is all going to be up to you, because I think ZBrush has got a 3D printing option to fit the size to the real world size units. I haven't tried none of this, but you know, you could try this. You can see it says upload your files. So this is going to be something totally up to you. So this would be something that you could try. So if, let's say you had your impression model sitting on your table, and then you get this and get it brought back to you, and you can snap it to that one, and if it fits to your impression that you have on your table, then it should fit to your teeth exactly the same way. So they got these zirconian blocks and things that you can get here. They got the veneers. It's kind of like what I like to snap on smile. I believe that's what that's for. They got these zirconium blocks. I think they got porcelain and everything, and you can get by these blocks and have them milled out. Zirconium and porcelain can get real expensive if the dentist has to make it and implant it. Okay, you could probably make it yourself and let them do it. I don't know if they will, but I think some of these places that have some of these higher materials that cost a lot, you can be $10,000 to $20,000, and you can basically have these milled out. And if you know what you're doing, but like I said, I ain't never tried none of this, so you could probably start off with night guards. There's other websites that you can resin based and have it printed out. Make sure anything that you do and put in your mouth, just make sure that the material is designed to put in your mouth, because you don't want something in there that's going to irritate your gums or anything. And I think that's going to wrap it up. Besides, in the zip file, I have this link that you can go to here. That's in the README text. And also, if you have any questions, you can go to, there's a website forum that I'd put the link in there, and because I don't usually reply off YouTube, I'll be answering any questions that you need, and just follow that link in the zip, and you can reply, and I'll see if I can help you out if you have any problems. Thank you.